Hi guys, so good quality compost is really essential if you want to grow anything of beauty and of value. So what we do is we make our own compost. As feedstock we use the pet litter from the chickens. So it's basically straw that we buy in. That's the carbon source. And for a nitrogen source, obviously the chicken manure is the nitrogen source, and also any kitchen scraps. Anything that comes out of the kitchen goes into the compost heap. We try to get that compost heap nice and warm, so I get up to 50 degrees Celsius sometimes if I do it regularly enough. And what causes the heat is basically the bacteria that's decomposing your organic matter, but they need oxygen and they need moisture. So oxygen you introduce every week, or every time that you turn the compost, you introduce the oxygen. If you don't introduce the oxygen, it becomes anaerobic, and then you get the bad kinds of bacteria, the pathogens and stuff like that. But if you have the good bacteria that's basically decomposing your material, then you get a nice, rich, dark compost. And it's good to keep it covered, because then you retain the moisture and you protect it from chickens who want to come and open up your heap. This heap is probably around a month or 6 weeks old. I think it's been turned 2 or 3 times, and today it's time to turn it again. But I'm also adding some feedstock as well. So I'm adding new straw and I'm adding new nitrogen sources. And as it cools down, I found that the earthworms discover it. Here are some guys. I'll find some now. They're usually down in the lower parts where it's cooler. Here we go. So when the compost heap starts to cool down, the earthworms come and they come and do their thing. But while the compost heap is really hot, the earthworms will vacate. They leave. They don't like the really hot compost. But the hot compost you want, because it kills the weed seeds, it kills unwanted pathogens and things like that. But once it cools down, the earthworms come and do their thing, and they do a fantastic job. We have a separate earthworm farm, and that's a topic for another video. But these guys do great work for you, so I encourage them. They can just come and go as they want. So when you're turning your compost heap, you want to introduce as much air as possible. So what I try to do, and this thing can become really, really heavy. I just loosen it up, and here you can see some chicken bones, some of the livestock that don't make it. They go into the compost heap as well. Those will be broken down over time and add another source of good minerals and things to your compost that you're going to feed to the garden later. So I try to open it up to introduce as much oxygen as possible. So carbon sources will include any dead brown things like straw or brown leaves, or even cardboard, newspaper. Those are carbon sources. Your nitrogen sources will be green living things, or obviously the chicken manure that we're using. So green grass clippings, kitchen waste, those are your nitrogen sources. So, and we also add some victims from the cats. They also go in there. Because we're making it hot, they get broken down and disappear. I have to say, we're not making it hot, the microbes are making it hot. So the microbes are doing the work for you. It would have been nice if the microbes could turn their own heat though. Alright, so now we're going to fetch the new feedstock. Alright, so this is straw that comes from the chicken coops. So it's got all sorts of manure, it's got leftover food, it's got even some paper shreddings, those are all fine. And we need this to be nice and moist, otherwise the microbes can't move, because they need moisture to actually travel between the areas of the compost heap. So this has to be nice and wet. Okay, so the straw is nice and moist now, and what you can do is you can layer it with the existing pile that you have, or you can start a new pile. What we do is we usually just sort of add to the old one, and when we need to take some compost out, we just take from the more mature parts. We have the straw that I can add there, and we have some kitchen scraps. Now obviously, the smaller the particles, the quicker it will decompose. So if you have a garden shredder or anything like that, and you shred your wastes, make it even smaller, that'll do a lot for the speed of the decomposition. This is still a little bit dry. I'm gonna get the water and wet these down a bit more. Now the Western Cape and South Africa as a whole is a water-stressed area, so try not to waste water, but water that you can use in this situation is actually reclaimed water, grey water, like water from your washing machine, bath water, shower water, not water from the dishwasher. Dishwashing water is classified as black water, and that's the same as toilet water. Don't use that. Because basically you're inoculating this part, the new stuff, you're inoculating it with the microbes that are already present and already thriving in the part that's already semi-decomposed. And you just build it up like that, and when you're done you can cover it up, put your tarp over and keep it moist. Next week we'll come back and turn it again and see how we progress. By tomorrow the temperature should be rising. At the moment it's cool. There's no real temperature in there, but by tomorrow the temperature should be rising, and then you know that you've got a nice active heap that's going to give you great compost in not very long. Obviously it depends on ambient temperature, rain and stuff like that, and whatever feedstock that you put in, but you get that nice foresty smell from it. Then you know that your compost is mature and ready and safe to use in your garden or your plots where you're growing your vegetables or whatever you'd like to do with it.